The nation's capital in Washington, D.C. You're listening to Impact Showdown with your host, Lee Sanders.
Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders with you all. What's up? Hope everybody has had a fantastic week so far, and y'all are gearing up for a pretty good weekend. Got some good movies that's going to be playing in the theaters. All right, you know how we do it over here as always. We got the chat room that is loaded up right now for you guys over at blogtalkradio.com. Feel free to jump on in there. We definitely would love to hear what you had thought about tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling Live. If you saw it, of course, you can interact with us during the course of this episode. Also on Twitter, hit us up at Infinity1Prod. So tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, folks, was really all about one thing and one thing only. It was about that wedding between Brooke Hogan and Bully Ray, and I know there were quite a few of you that was wondering how exactly was this going to be executed? How was this wedding going to be ruined? Was this finally going to be the moment where Bully Ray might have possibly shown his true colors? Was this going to be the moment where perhaps Bully Ray was going to be the one to reveal that he is in fact part of Aces and Eights? Or maybe a new player comes into mind. Well, a new player it was that came into mind. Let's talk about this wedding. They were hyping it up throughout the whole night. We saw really great cameos from hardcore legend himself, Tommy Dreamer. Hey, Spike Dudley. We had a little bit of a mini ECW reunion right here as they had joined Bully Ray backstage, leading all the way up until the wedding, making him get ready, make sure that his outfit was ready. And we see Bully Ray, again, during the course of the night, he goes to Sting, pleads with him to talk to the Hulkster, try to make him come to that aisle later tonight, walk his beautiful daughter down that aisle, offer her to him, and Sting telling Bully Ray, hey, you know what, you have my back so many times, I've got to do you one, you've got this, I'm going to talk to him, but I can't promise that something positive is going to come from out of it, but we'll talk to him. We saw the Stinger talk to the Hulkster not once, but twice. First time he called him out, basically asking him to do the right thing, and basically what's it going to take to make him finally see Bully Ray in a positive light. Hulkster talking a pretty good game in front of the Impact crowd, in front of Sting, saying, you know, there's just nothing that Bully Ray is going to be able to do that can get him to trust him, as he knows the ins and outs of this business. He's been exposed to a lot of hardship, a lot of jaded people. He's been stabbed in the back by a lot of people over the years. There's just isn't enough from what he's able to see right now that could convince him to trust Bully Ray otherwise. Now, in a backstage segment, to follow up on that, in a very personal one-on-one conversation with the Stinger, we see the Hulkster show a picture of a younger version of himself, Hogan that is, with a younger baby, Brooke Hogan, telling Stinger that this is what it's all about, that he has been protecting her since birth from all the bad things, all the evil things from wrestling, and he just has been trying to do such a good job of raising her right, and that he knows how this story, unfortunately, is going to end for her, and he fears that the ending to it is not going to be a good one. Well, we see Sting, he agrees that in their life experience in the business, they have indeed dealt with a lot of jaded people, but at the same time stresses to the Hulkster that maybe, just maybe, Brooke sees something in Bully that Hogan is not able to see because he's been blinded by the business for so long, and that tonight it needs to be about his daughter and walking her down that aisle on what is to be a very monumental and emotional night for her. Well, we see Hulk Hogan. He says as far as he's concerned, he's going to go pack his stuff up, but stresses that he always does the right thing, whatever that means. So once again, you're kind of led to the impression here what exactly is going to happen with this wedding. Let's get this wedding talk out the way, folks. We know there's a core base of you all that's like, get on with it already. Let's cover this already. Get over this whole wedding stuff. Trust me, you're going to be wishing I'd covered the wedding a little bit more because we really didn't get that much action on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. And notice that key word there, impact. Well, we didn't quite get so much of that. It was all in the wedding tonight. So we see everybody come out. Lovely Brooke Hogan, she has all the TNA knockouts that's basically acting like bridesmaids as they're escorting Tommy Dreamer, as they're escorting Taz. Taz doing a little bit of double duty. He did end up leaving the commentating booth to go help Bully Ray and crew get ready. We see him come out. Everybody's coming out, looks very joyful, great experience. We do see the Hulkster come out, tuxedo and all, to walk his daughter down the aisle. We see the preacher. He is doing his thing. He's going through the vows. He's reading the words. You know the whole shtick by now. So we get to that critical point where it goes, do you, blah, 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 take this person's hand. Well, we see Bully Ray right before he can officially seal the deal right here. We see Taz take the microphone and say to Bully Ray, is he really sure that he wants to do this? And Bully Ray says, yes, he does. Why is he even bringing up this question? What's going on here? Taz asks him again, he says, are you really sure that this is what you want? This is what you want to go through? And Bully Ray tells him it is, in fact. And the next question that Taz asks is it getting hot in here? And we see him take off his tuxedo, blazer, if you will. And, folks, Taz is apparently part of Aces and Eights, as we see other Aces and Eights members gather around the ring from out of nowhere, and they proceed to just ruin the festivities. We see Doc, and we see another member of Aces and Eights. They have grabbed on to Brooke Hogan, and they are having her watch as the Hulkster, Bully Ray, just everybody that can be caught within Aces and Eights' path are destroyed. Even the icon Sting. Everybody is taking an ass beating at this wedding tonight. Now, we didn't get to see Taz. I got to rewind it back on the DVR, folks, but it went by so fast. But if I'm not mistaken, we did not see Taz get physical in any type of way. We just saw Taz just take off his blazer, show off his vest, and then he pretty much just disappeared amongst the sea of Aces and Eights members that just ruined this whole wedding. And, folks, there you have it, Taz, apparently the Aces and Eights member. Now, what exact type of rank is the first thing that comes into my question when I think about Taz right here, because I'm saying to myself, there's no way Taz is VP. I just don't see that. I would be a little bit shocked here if Taz was VP, but if I'm not mistaken, VP is a little bit buffier, definitely taller. I don't think Taz is VP, but, nice little twist right there. This is exactly what a lot of fans, a lot of broadcasters have been talking about for weeks now, that Aces and Eights, they need something new. They need some type of shock value if they want to keep this going. And we know how TNA Wrestling wants to be nowadays. TNA Wrestling, they want to try to push for those storylines that has some life to it, that has a little bit of longevity. So for those of you that's been kind of tripping over this whole Aces and Eights thing, like I always say, you either fast forward it or you change the channel to something else. The way TNA Wrestling's new formula is now, if they got something that they feel's kind of hot and kind of going, kind of popular, they're going to try to milk it for all it's worth. They want to have some longevity storyline that fans can feel invested in, thus giving a bigger payoff. And I think, quite honestly, tonight, having it be revealed that Taz is part of Aces and Eights, I think it's a very smart move from the TNA creative standpoint, because now you've breathed some new life into this stable, much needed life at that, because let's not forget about that last little revelation that we had there of who was part of Aces and Eights as, what was it, Mike Knox? I mean, yeah, that really didn't go too well, did it, folks? I mean, it basically said, mask comes off, oh, hey, who is that guy? Or if you know your WWE, you know your wrestlers, then you probably said, oh, hey, Mike Knox, yay, okay, so what else is on? So, really good right here that they went in this direction. Now, of course, the million-dollar question, what the hell is going to happen next week? I just think of a whole domino effect with this revelation right here because you got to remember here, folks, Taz is also a TNA gut check judge, so you're kind of taking that into consideration of what we just saw tonight. I don't know about you all, but I'm looking at this. I would think automatically Taz is no longer going to be a TNA gut check judge. There's just no way in hell he can continue to hold on to that position. And mind you, TNA President Dixie Carter was in the house tonight. So TNA President Dixie Carter is most likely going to be popping up next week. Maybe Bruce Pritchard is going to make another return, even though he did the whole gut check ruling tonight. I have a strong feeling that all the top powers that be in TNA Wrestling, they're all going to be talking about Taz. And quite honestly, I think it's about damn time that they use Taz like this because I've been a Taz fan for many, many years, and I actually can sit up and say I actually saw his matches before he retired. I can proudly say that and not say, I saw his matches on YouTube after the fact. That's how a lot of people get so familiar with the ECW brand nowadays. And, to just remember how he was on the microphone, I mean, that guy could deliver some really freaking phenomenal promos, okay? So, I mean, to have him as the mouthpiece for Aces right now, I mean, this is going to do some really, really great wonders for this stable right now. And I can't wait to hear how this is going to go down, quite honestly. I think it's going to be pretty freaking phenomenal. But, man, I'm still tripping over this. I can't believe that we have freaking Taz as part of Aces and Eights. That, if you would have told me a couple of months back, hey, I think Taz is probably going to be part of Aces and Eights, I would not see this coming a mile away, and I'll tell you the exact reason why. It's because the way Taz has been set up in TNA Wrestling all these years now, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Taz has been with the organization now for about, and somebody in the chat room correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not mistaken, he's been in TNA Wrestling now for, God, it feels like maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But I'm leaning more towards 4 years here. It just seems like Taz has just been so comfortable with just calling matches, talking about letting the pigeons loose. And let's be for real with Taz commentating. With regards to Taz commentating, it's not exactly that on point. I mean, let me just pull up one of his comments that he had said on tonight's episode of Impact. The comment that he made during the Christian York versus Kenny King match. Christian York is built like a brick. Well, that's pretty much Taz's commentating tonight. I mean, seriously, I think for those hardcore TNA Wrestling fans, I think you guys will be pretty freaking happy now that you are seeing Taz kind of maybe leave the commentating booth right here. I mean, this has rippling effects right now, and take it however way you want it. And I got to give a shout-out to Robert in the chat room here. Taz has been with the organization since 2009, so 10, 11, 12. So he's almost coming up on 4 years. Thank you for that, Robert. Appreciate it. So, I mean, this has rippling effects right now. I mean, let's really look at this, folks. Just by this revelation of Taz, this sets up the following, I would think. No longer is Taz going to be a TNA gut check judge. That's number one. Number two, I would think Taz is no longer going to be part of the commentating booth, which probably explains the perfect setup there for Todd Kinley, why they just slid him on in there like that. And love him or hate him, Todd's actually been doing a better job. If I may go on record, I feel Todd's been doing a better job than Taz. Okay, let's be for real. It seems like a lot of times since Todd has popped up in the company, seems like a lot of times this man has been doing most of the commentating by himself. He's actually been the one to pay attention to the matches, whereas Taz and Mike Tenay, they've like gone fishing, okay? So obviously that's going to be it, I would think, for Taz as the commentator. So great move right here from TNA Wrestling, of course. We got to talk about some of the other action that had happened on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, where once again, unfortunately, folks, not that much had transpired. One of the matches that we had saw tonight was Jeff Hardy and James Storm team up as they had took on the team of Daniels and Kazarian. And, right before this match had came about, we saw Jeff Hardy addressing his title win over Robert Roode, Austin Aries at the Genesis pay-per-view this past Sunday, rather. And, we see Jeff Hardy, he pretty much was talking about how he persevered through that bout and that he's still the TNA champion and he's proud to have all his creatures continue to support him. And Daniels comes out bragging about who all he's beaten to get himself in the position that he's in right now to be able to take on the TNA champion, which is going to be going down on next week's episode of Impact Live. Well, we see Daniels and Kazarian, they actually tried to jump on Jeff Hardy and give him a quick beatdown, but we saw Cowboy James Storm come on now to Hardy's aid, and that's how this tag match was set up. We actually saw the team of Jeff Hardy, James Storm pick up the win over Daniels and Kazarian, but post-match, you knew that they had to put this little touch in there because they got to make sure they have Daniels looking strong going into that match with Hardy next week. Post-match, we saw Daniels attack Jeff Hardy in celebration here, and we saw him connect with that finisher of his. Was I the only one that noticed how Daniels just kicked to the side Jeff Hardy's little created title there? It seems like whenever it comes to Daniels, James Storm, Austin Aries, Robert Roode, they really could care less about that created title. They just go, that's passe. The TNA World Heavyweight title, that's what it's about. Let's get that. It seems like they always just totally disrespect that title of his. I don't know why he's pushing two titles. I wish he would just go with the one that really looks cool right now. And no, I'm not talking about that ugly freaking belt that he's pushing. Bring out the TNA one. Just stick with that, Jeff. But funny little moment right there. Second match of the night, and you guys better enjoy this for all it's worth because we only got one more match to cover. We saw Kenny King defeat Christian York. Once again, Kenny King digging down deep, going for the dirty tactics right here. I am just continuing to love this heelish evolution, if you will, of Kenny King right now. He just has taken the place of Zema Ion, and it's so funny because we saw a few of you commented on Twitter earlier tonight, where is Zema Ion? When is Zema Ion going to be coming back? Folks, we already answered that question for you guys sometime in 2013. That's all we got. Maybe he'll be back within the first quarter, maybe second quarter. I don't see him coming back in the fall. I mean, if you think about it, the last time we saw him, I can't think of the pay-per-view right now, but the last time we did see Jesse was in 2012, and I want to say it was maybe around Bound for Glory we might have seen him, and he was walking and all, had a cast around his neck. Looked like he was doing pretty good at that point. He looked about maybe 75% maybe. I would think he's very close to coming on back, but I love seeing this continued heel push of Kenny King right here. Of course, one of the other highlights that we had for tonight's respected episode was the awarding of a TNA Wrestling contract to either Jay Bradley or Brian Cage. And, of course, if y'all have been listening to our coverage of Extreme Rising when we do the respective post shows for them from time to time, you would know that name, Jay Bradley, by now. And if you're just now, unfortunately, kind of jumping on that bandwagon there, well, it's not really too late for you to get on board. Of course, Jay Bradley got awarded the TNA Wrestling contract, and this surprisingly had upsetted quite a few of you, as y'all have felt that WWE or rather TNA, they continue to hire rejected WWE stars. I kind of take a little bit of offense when it comes to Jay Bradley. I think with regards to Jay Bradley, he was just never given the opportunity to shine. He was really, really misused in the organization, and he's just been making a name for himself in the independent circuit. Really got on the radar there for the work that he was doing with Extreme Rising. Honestly, I think this was a good move for TNA Wrestling. Quite honestly, I thought that maybe they should have made a little bit of history right here, and maybe they should have awarded both men a TNA Wrestling contract, because that's just how well of a job they had did last week in their singles match. But Jay Bradley, he was awarded the TNA Wrestling contract, and I would expect Jay to immediately pop up here. And it's so funny because we have a running gag that's going on with fans as we see these guys that are coming through the TNA gut check and they're winning their contracts. There's the running gag that's going on right now. It's basically, oh, hey, here's another guy that's going to be popping up on main television programming before Alex Silva, of course, the first TNA gut check winner. I don't know what's going on with that young man, but if they have yet to be able to get him well-rounded and ready to go, maybe they kind of need to think about whether or not he should be under contract with them right now. But, guys, Jay Bradley, great guy. If you're not really familiar with his work, I highly encourage you to go check him out. You see plenty of his matches on YouTube. That'll really give you an idea of about him. And I know we posted a couple of things on him on our Facebook page. You can go check that out when you get a free moment. Of course, other than that, we did have some knockouts action, and it was the last match of the night. So only 3 matches we got tonight. It was Velvet Sky picking up a win over Gail Kim. This was a rematch from their Genesis match there. Velvet Sky, God, I love Velvet Sky, man, but I got to be brutally honest. The match that she had tonight against Gail Kim, that was like pulling teeth, man. Ouch. I mean, seeing her trying to set up her little finisher, do her little famouser, and then do her little moderated version of the pedigree was really painful to watch, man. I'm watching Homegirl. I'm saying, please, don't do those moves again. Was struggling to even just watch her do clotheslines. I mean, I don't know, man. It just seems like the Velvet Sky that was in TNA Wrestling 6 months ago. I said it once before, I'll say it again. Seems like the Velvet Sky that we had 6 months ago, she was just well polished off. She really had seemed like she was taking that craft rather seriously and trying to get better. I don't know what the hell she's been doing the past 6 months. I know she was doing the indie circuit for a little bit, but she really wasn't making that many appearances. So I'm kind of led to the assumption here that maybe she was just chilling on a personal life there. But she is just really, really looking rusty right now. Knockouts champion, hey, you know what? If it means that her next run will last a little longer, I'm all for it. But before she gets that belt, sister needs to get some more training. That's all I got to say about that. She really needs to get more training, and that's the bottom line on that. But, with regards to tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, where do I begin with this episode? Because I really don't want to say this episode was a bunch of bullshit, but at the same time, 3 matches, TNA gut check contract, and a wedding. I don't know, man. It just really didn't feel like enough, quite honestly. I mean, I don't understand why so much emphasis had to be put. Well, I do understand why so much emphasis had to be put on this wedding. I think my complaint is not that much time should have went to this wedding and all the build-up for it, but I know how they wanted to have that finish to be. They have a lot of TNA Wrestling fans talking, and I definitely think that they've executed that with the way it finished up tonight. I definitely think that a lot of people are going to be talking about Taz all the way up until next Thursday. Why Taz? Why? A lot of buzz right there. But, I will say this, from a production standpoint, this episode was executed well. I thought all the segments, the video package, everything just connecting to one another. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. My only complaint would just be we just didn't get that many matches. It would have been nice to see a little bit more, although I will say this. I did like seeing the team of Austin Aries and Bobby Roode come out, and they had one hilarious moment right here, and it just goes to show you, somebody in Impact Wrestling, they must be listening to us over here, because we said it a couple of weeks back. We said, you know what, it looks like the way Bobby Roode and Austin Aries are just gelling with the way that they put their differences aside to gang up on Jeff Hardy. I said we could be beginning to see a new tag team here, and hey, it'd be nice to maybe see what these two guys could do on the tag division. It'd be a little bit of going backwards, but these two guys really seem to be clicking pretty damn well together, and that continued tonight as they had objected to the wedding, as they were bashing everybody, even the TNA Wrestling fans, for celebrating Bully Ray and Brooke's wedding when everybody should be celebrating them, because they are two of the best professional wrestlers in the company, and they were just frustrated to no point of how they continue to be overlooked. They continue to be disrespected by the organization, and that they feel that the company has gone backwards, favoring champions such as RVD, Chavo, Hernandez, even Jeff Hardy. And, just those words that was spoken right there by those guys, I think that really hit that core audience of TNA Wrestling fans that continue to sit up and say, you know what, TNA Wrestling, all this company is about is pushing old wrestlers, pushing those Kurt Angles, pushing those guys that have been in the business now for a good amount of time, have made a good amount of money, that don't know how to really pass the torch on to those younger people. This really hit that core audience of TNA Wrestling fans that always sit up and say it needs to be about the new blood. TNA, stop pushing the old talent. I was very, very keen to hear that there, and I was actually just, my eyes and ears just lit up when I heard that. I was happy that that was really put out there, and I think if you're going to have somebody on the TNA roster say that, to kind of tap into that core audience that's saying that, who better than Bobby Roode, Austin Aries? Now, of course, we did see Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez come out, and they offered a little bit of a rebuttal, if you will, to them, and this led into an all-out brawl. And by the looks of things, I would say that these two respected tag teams, they could be getting it on for some tag team gold. Now, for those of you that's probably saying, well, what about Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan? I think that has already run its course. I think at this point, Matt Morgan, as I said last week, Matt Morgan should really just be put back on that singles path. Let Joey Ryan do his thing, floating around for a little bit. Quite unfortunate, but you know what? Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, definitely the better team to go with right now. All right, I want to take a very brief commercial break, but then when I come right back, I want to dip into a little bit of TNA Wrestling news. Big week, guys, as TNA Wrestling has dropped their lawsuit against WWE. I'll give you the details on that, and I'll give you my honest takeaway of that. And we'll also cover the very latest TNA Wrestling-related news and also give you some programming notes for what we got planned for this weekend. So kick on back, relax. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. It's Impact Showdown Radio coming at you on January 17th, 2013, 10:31 p.m. Folks, we will be coming right back.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., you're listening to Impact Showdown with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, so we are back. Quick programming. No, it's the return of the weekend edition of the RCWR show this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check that out. We're going to cover the very latest and what all you might have missed from WWE, TNA, wrestling news, entertainment news. We're going to dip into it all. And we're going to have some pretty great in-depth discussions on that episode, so make sure you check that out. We'll also give you the final verdict on who's been winning the late-night wars. Yours truly, I've kicked back and I've watched David Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. I've watched all these guys during the past week here, and I'm going to give you my take on who I think is the winner so far, and, hopefully it can kind of, help you guys out, because I know there's probably a lot of you guys, I don't know who to watch. Well, hopefully I can give you a little bit of insight with that one, and we'll cover a little bit of some more stuff on there, so make sure you check that out. Always good when we do our weekend edition episodes. By the way, mad shout-out to all our listeners. I want you guys to give yourselves a pat on the back because you had made our TNA Genesis post-show over the weekend be one of our most downloaded, listened-to episodes. We really appreciate that love and support. Thank you guys so much for that. And trust us, we will be covering the next batch of TNA pay-per-views that's going to be coming up. We got some birthdays that we need to make sure that we acknowledge. And normally we don't acknowledge birthdays on here, but when I took a look at who all was celebrating birthdays today, I just said, wow, well, we got to acknowledge these people. So let's just run off some names real quick. Ray J, in case you all don't know him, successful singer that's released 5 studio albums. Of course, he did become really infamous when he did that sex video with Kim Kardashian. Ray J, brother of R&B singer Moesha, no, I'm kidding, Brandy, is 32 today. Eartha Kitt, we know she died a couple of years back, but today would have been her birthday, so mad shout out to her. Maury Povich, you are not the baby father, TV talk show host, husband of Connie Chung. He is 74 today. Steve Harvey, actor, comedian. He is 56 years old today. James Earl Jones, voice of Darth Vader, and this is CNN, 82 years old today. Kid Rock, Detroit rapper turned country artist, is 42. I know many of you love this next guy, Al Capone, celebrating a birthday today. Benjamin Franklin, Miami Heat's Dwayne Wade, 31. Muhammad Ali, 71. Jim Carrey, I don't need to tell you who Jim Carrey is. Everybody knows who Jim Carrey is, 51 years old. Rounding it off, the beautiful Mrs. First Lady of the White House herself, Michelle Obama, turned 49. And hitting 91 years old, the last surviving member of the Golden Girls, Miss Betty White. Once again, 91 years old. Happy birthday to all of you. And if you wish to send your birthday wishes, I'm sure all of these respected people have Twitter, Facebook. Hit them up and wish them a happy birthday before midnight strikes. All right, so let's dip into a little bit of TNA wrestling news. As I said right before we had took the commercial break there, it looks like TNA Wrestling has dropped its lawsuit against WWE. That's right. Now, this, in a nutshell, TNA's legal issues that they had against WWE is officially over. The case was dismissed this past Wednesday as TNA had filed a motion this week stating that all sides had come to terms and agreed that they would withdraw the lawsuit. Now, each side covered their own legal costs. Now, what does this mean for TNA Wrestling's future? Well, maybe this kind of explains a little bit of why we kind of heard Mike Tenay dropping the WWE names there the past couple of weeks here, when you really think about it. Because, it seemed like past 2 weeks, Tenay was just dropping WWE references left and right. Well, maybe, this is a little bit of a sign that maybe TNA and WWE are trying to work things out so that maybe they could have some type of a collaboration down the road. Now, I know there's a lot of you that don't like the fact that TNA, they are acknowledging WWE, and you all wish that they would stop doing that. But, quite honestly, I actually give TNA Wrestling a lot of credit because they aren't afraid to mention their competitors. And I give them mad props. I give them mad respect for that. That says to me that they are very comfortable under their own skin. It's the same thing when it comes to radio shows when you really think about it. When was the last time you checked out a radio show and somebody was plugging the good work that somebody had did over at another radio show or on another radio station? You don't really get to hear that type of stuff, unfortunately. So, to see TNA Wrestling drop those references out there, not to mention they're mainly dropping them to really make you feel invested into that character. Take, for instance, Jeff Hardy. We all know about his history with WWE, and, it's really nice to talk about. I only wish that WWE could take a page out of TNA's book, but as we all know, WWE, they don't do that. Unfortunately, they like to be in that position where they feel that they are the ones that create the stars. It's not a star just come already packaged and ready to go, which brings me to a very interesting point. I can't wait to see how El Generico is going to be. In case you might have missed that, El Generico, he's also done some work for TNA from time to time. He has recently signed with WWE, so it should be interesting to see how he's going to come about being brought in that company, if he's going to be packaged the same way or if they're just going to remove that whole gimmick altogether and try to give him a new name. But I don't really trip over the WWE name drops on TNA. Like I said, I think that those signs combined with what just went down this week just gives me an indication that they just want to move past this, look towards the future. And I truly believe that with what we had saw last year with WWE's Christian going over to TNA to help, he was supposed to help induct Sting into the Hall of Fame, but he didn't do that one. But instead, he did do the other appearance for them. I think there could possibly be more collaborations with these two companies down the road. And if I were a betting man, that's what I really feel in my bones. That, but I strongly believe that before 2013 is out, we're going to be seeing some type of a collaboration from these two organizations. So just mark my words on that. Also in TNA wrestling-related news, in case you guys have not heard, looks like Hulk Hogan is suing the people that had took care of several of his surgeries that he's had over the years with his back, his knees, you name it. It looks like the way Hulk Hogan is going about this lawsuit is he's basically telling the, according to the documents that he's presented to the judges or whatever, it looks like he's trying to claim that the surgeries were unnecessary and that it basically screwed him out of making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars off of working with John Cena. I know, weird, right? I'm like trying to really just wrap my brain around this one, but that's the word that's on the wrestling beat right now. That's the reports that's coming in. Quite honestly, I just look at this, and I don't really like to say anything bad about the Hulkster, but, I just really think this is just a silly, pathetic, poor move that the Hulkster is doing right now because, he unfortunately was unsuccessful suing the Gawker website for the sex tape that they just continue to post on their website. He was not able to win that case to have it be completely removed. He wasn't able to get those pockets filled up. It just kind of seems like a desperate attempt from somebody that's trying to look for a way to get paid. Honestly, I am not a legal expert. I don't claim to be a legal expert. I will go on record, though, and say that I've watched every single episode of Law and Order and every single episode of Law and Order Criminal Intent, and I can tell you that this is probably going to be dismissed as well, okay? So take that for what it's worth. I'm very curious to hear what Vince McMahon, John Cena, and crew would say about that. Was there, in fact, some type of a plan to have John Cena work with the Hulkster at maybe WrestleMania? First time I'm hearing this type of news. Of course, we got to take this with a grain of salt, as we know from time to time the Hulkster, he likes to tell a little lie. Of course, there is that one infamous lie that was going around that the Hulkster put out there, that he was originally supposed to be the bass player for Metallica. That did not, unfortunately, go too far, as Lars Ulrich had revealed on an appearance on a Howard Stern show that encounter, that it never happened. No way in hell did Hulk Hogan ever come close to being in Metallica. They've never even met Hulk Hogan. So just take that little piece of news of what you're hearing about him suing and costing him a John Cena match. Take that with a grain of salt until more information comes available. Other than that, other TNA wrestling-related news I got for you guys, it looks as though there's another female independent wrestler that's going to be joining the UK Gut Check Seminar. That's right. It looks like Portuguese independent wrestler Shauna has announced that she will be attending the upcoming TNA Gut Check Seminar in the UK. And in case you might have missed it, TNA had announced that the leading independent female wrestler, the Alpha Female, will also be at the Gut Check Seminar, too. And again, that seminar is going to be taking place January 24th at the Capital FM Arena in Nottingham, England. So should be pretty awesome. For those of you that like to check out TNA Explosion, you can now do so. We have the episodes uploaded on our Facebook page, so go check that out when you get a free moment. Also, there's reports floating around that former TNA wrestler and current AAA competitor Judas Messias has confirmed lingering rumors that he may be heading back to TNA in some type of capacity. Now, this is what he said on his official Twitter page. This is a direct quote. For those that ask about TNA, yes, there are plans to return, but AAA is obviously my home. Now, it should be reported that TNA and AAA, as you all know, they have a very good, strong working relationship. And so far, it looks like the relationship has been strictly one-sided due to legal issues that's preventing AAA talent from appearing in TNA. However, AAA head booker Dorian Roldan had confirmed a while back that the legal issues are currently being worked on. So take that for what it's worth right there. And, folks, that is going to do it. I want to close out this show, and I want to let you guys know a couple of quick things real quick. Number one, if you have not checked out our Gene Snitsky interview that we did last weekend, I highly encourage you to go check that out. As long as we've been on the air, I wish I could tell you guys the exact number, but I've been sworn to secrecy to not reveal the number of downloads and listens that we have for that particular episode. But let me put it to you this way. You want to go check out the episode. It was a damn good episode. And make sure you go check out my good friend Diamond K, as I had made a special appearance on the DMV Wrestling show earlier this week. We had kicked back and we had talked about the 20th anniversary of WWE Raw. Really great 45-minute discussion that me and him had. It was a great honor to be on his show. And rest assured that we'll be doing more collaborations in the near future. We might try to do something for Royal Rumble. I'm not sure just yet. But check that out when you get a chance. And, folks, that's going to do it. We will see you guys this Saturday for the RCWR Show Weekend Edition. And in the meantime, everybody be safe, Be kind to one another. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for checking out tonight's episode. Everybody that called in the show just to listen to the episode, we appreciate you guys as well. Talk of Wrestling may end here. Go check out InfinityOneProductions.com for all the very latest and wrestling-related news and so much more. And while you're at it, take the time out, be kind, and download us in the iTunes Zune marketplaces. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Everybody, be safe, be kind to one another. Take care, folks.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode. If you enjoyed our coverage, do us a huge favor. Go out of your way, leave that comment down below, and let us know how we're doing. And if you really, really enjoyed our coverage, go that extra step further and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on all future episodes that we'll be uploading to our channel. As from time to time, we'll be uploading exclusive goodies only available to our YouTube subscribers, YouTube audience. And hey, if you ever want to be a part of our shows live in progress, you can do so on Tuesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Once again, that's blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Once again, thank you so much for checking out this episode.